Hi everyone. At some point during a planning meeting, perhaps you're planning a new major exhibition or a new learning activity or a new holiday activity, whatever it is, at some point during a planning meeting, someone is going to mention the dreaded W word, wayfinding. And we all know what it means. As a visitor, either you step into this jungle, this forest of signs and maps and arrows that point you in all sorts of directions. The toilet's over there, the parking space is over there, the ticket office is over here, the shop is over there, the cafe is over there, and you're so confused you don't even know where to start, and you quite frankly feel a little bit tired even before you begin. Or the opposite happens. You step into a museum or a heritage site and there's nothing there. No signs, no maps, there's not even a member of staff you can ask for direction. And you feel a little bit strange because am I actually welcome? Am I even allowed to be here? I think we also know as members of staff what it's like to do those quick fixes. We have all been in a situation where we think we have created a really clear logic route, and for some reason visitors can't figure out that when they get to this point the route continues right over there, and they end up in spaces where visitors are not allowed, and it can be dangerous for them, or they simply end up turning around and walking all the way back from where they came, and they've only seen half of this route. And then you end up doing a really quick print of a sign that you laminate in your office and you put it up on the wall or the door or on a stand or whatever you have, and it quite frankly look a little bit unprofessional. It might serve its purpose for now, but it's not really that professional looking. I think wayfinding is always a little bit of a struggle no matter where you work within the museum or heritage sector. And it can be good to just from time to time remind ourselves of the four main principles of what it actually is that wayfinding is meant to do. So let's have a look, and let's have a look at some tips and ideas as well. First of all, what is it actually wayfinding is meant to do? Well, there are really four main points to wayfinding. First of all, it is about orientation. It is about creating a very quick idea about how much can I see here, and how do I approach it? Where do I go to see it? It is also very much about creating a route decision. Make it easy to make a decision about where I should be going as a visitor. Some visitors only want to see the highlights, really. They only really want to see the Mona Lisas of your place. So make it clear to them where they can find them and how to get to them. That's also very much about route monitoring. So where have I been? What have I seen? How can I make sure I haven't missed anything? Because I don't want to miss anything. So how can I make sure that I have seen everything on this particular route? And of course, make sure that people know very clearly when they have reached their destination. How do I know that I'm now in the room or in the space with whatever it is I wanted to see? That's really the four main points of wayfinding. And there are many approaches to how museums do this, and there are many methods. So let's have a look at some of them. First of all, try to create an identity at each location, so something that's different from the other places or the other rooms. It can be maybe there is a specific object that's very easy to spot, or maybe there is a certain atmosphere or something to a room. So use that, create an identity within a location that makes it quite clear where I am or makes it memorable to me. If possible, try to use some landmarks that provide memorable orientation points. Now, obviously, we don't all have an Eiffel Tower or something like that, but if you have a specific feature, perhaps in the building, maybe people walk into a huge courtyard and there is a fountain in the middle of it or something. Use that as a meeting point. Maybe you walk into a huge welcome area and all the routes start from here, and maybe they also end here. So make sure that visitors know when they are back in this
space, that becomes a kind of home almost to them. Now we're back here. Okay, then we can start again, or then we can embark upon another route or something like that. Create something that's memorable. Use and create well-structured paths or routes. Now, we all know the nightmare of having an exhibition space, for example, where visitors have to exit the same way they came in. So maybe they actually they come to an end of an exhibition, many rooms in a row, and then they have to walk all the way back, and they're essentially walking against the visitor flow, and they are also kind of taking the story and the narrative in the wrong direction here before they are back where they started. It's always a bit difficult to go about that. Sometimes it's necessary, but if at all possible, try to create a well-structured route for them. That doesn't mean you have to do chronological exhibitions or anything like that, but make sure it is as well laid out as possible, so that visitors don't actually have to walk back or walk through something they have already been through. A way of doing that can also be creating different visual characters, so different graphics. It can be color coding. Maybe you know that all the graphics in this part of the exhibitions are blue, and that's a way of going about it. It can be through icons, for example. So when I'm walking through exhibition spaces with this specific icon, I'm in the archaeological part of the exhibitions or something like that. Sometimes routes overlap or cross each other. When they do, try not to provide too many choices at the same time. Tell me if I can continue on this route, then what do I do? If I want to change to another route, then how do I go about doing that? Don't provide me with too many choices at the same time and create confusion. If it's helpful, use maps. It can be either as a leaflet that you are walking around with yourself, or panels in the exhibition spaces, and again use the viewpoints on location. Now, you have to be careful not to hand out too much paper, because we know visitors tend not to look at it if they are handed too much, and also they just leave it everywhere and don't really use it anyway. So make sure only to use leaflets and any kind of maps when they make sense and when they are really useful. When you reach a decision point, try to provide signs and again perhaps maps to help the wayfinding decision and the route monitoring. So if I need to know, have I actually been on this part of the route, make it easy for me to understand. If I want to change, if I can't decide whether to go right or left, make it easy for me to know what can I find when I actually have to decide between two or perhaps more different routes here. From time to time, we actually have to tell visitors that there are things they cannot do. There are restrictions here. And sometimes you have to tell them that in a very direct way. If it fits the context and the narrative, use humor. That can be a way of going about that. It isn't always, but it can be a good way of sort of softening the blow a little bit. Sometimes we also know that explanations is actually needed, especially if a route has changed or if there are perhaps parts of the route that you can't enter at the moment, because perhaps you're doing installation work, or perhaps something is going on, repairs or restoration, whatever, and you feel an explanation is needed. Try not to make it too long or too text heavy. There's absolutely no way visitors are even going to have a second look if they find the length of a Bible hanging on a wall. They're not even going to look at it, so avoid that. If they need further explanation or want it, make sure your front of house staff know and can be approached about this, or provide an email address or something where visitors can write in and ask for more information if they want to. Don't try to explain everything on site. Finally, if you do use maps, don't make them too complicated. Only include the most necessary information. And yes, toilets are necessary and restrooms are necessary. It's necessary to know where they are. It's practical information, really, that people need to know about. But don't try and tell the entire history of a place in a map. It's only confusing. people should be able to get an idea about that as they walk through the spaces. Don't try and do this in a map, and you simply can't using icons or emojis on a map. Only include what I need to know to make sure that I can orientate myself, that I can make a decision on the route, that I can monitor the route, and that I know when I have reached my destination.
The trick to good wayfinding really is to provide visitors with the right information at the right time. Don't try and bombard them with everything they need to know right from the start, just from the moment they step in. Good visitor service essentially is about being 1 or 2 steps ahead all the time. So you need to provide information before I know that I need this information. Before I need the toilet, tell me where they are. Before I get tired and need to sit down and enjoy an ice cream and a coffee, tell me where to find the cafe. Before I reach the highlight of your museum, your exhibition, your heritage site, show me, tell me that I'm now entering the Holy Grail, and this is where you keep the good stuff. It's incredibly difficult work, and it requires that you really know your own site very well. But keeping the principles for what it is wayfinding is actually meant to do can, I think, help making the experience and making the work a little bit easier, even though it will probably always be a little bit of a struggle and something that we're always a little bit tired of when working in this business. But keeping in mind what it is it's meant to do is always a great help, and put yourself, this is really one of the points where you have to put yourself in the visitor's shoes. Have you any good examples of wayfinding, perhaps bad examples as well, something that you want to share? Then please do. Okay, so the main road is over there, and I came from there, or there, I came from there. Okay, right.